Good evening, my fellow entities, and welcome to Lair Filmeru. Tonight we will be reviewing Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, one of my favorite Indiana Jones movies next to Raiders of the Lost Ark. In 1938, only 2 years after the hunt for the Ark of the Covenant and his encounter with Adolf Hitler's Nazis in Raiders of the Lost Ark, the intrepid, bullwhip-wielding archaeologist Indiana Jones risks life and limb on his search for his missing father, Professor Henry Jones, picking up from where his estranged parent left off while searching for the Holy Grail. Dr. Jones, along with the academic and surrogate father figure Marcus Brody, make a stop at Venice, Italy, and then off he goes to cold Austria with the statuesque archaeologist Dr. Elsa Schneider. But there, a dangerous run-in with the SS commander, Colonel Ernst Vogel, can only spell more trouble as the power-obsessed megalomaniac is bent on finding the location of the sacred artifact first. Can the Joneses thwart his evil plan in the Last Crusade? Now, like I said before, it is one of my favorite ones next to Raiders of the Lost Ark. Raiders of the Lost Ark was the one that got me into Indiana Jones. This one was the one that solidified my love for the series. I loved seeing the origin story of Indiana Jones through the intro that we get to see, watching him find out his fear of snakes, watch him crack his very first whip, and we see the origin of the infamous fedora, which he gained from a criminal who was stealing the Cross of Coronado, and it's one of the more interesting chases in the Indiana Jones franchise. I mean, at this point, we've seen the car chase from Raiders, we've seen the minecart chase from Temple of Doom. Sorry about that, guys. My mind is a bit foggy due to the bad cold that I'm suffering from right now. But now we've got they kind of went all out with this. We get the train chase where we watch Indiana Jones get chased by these hardened criminals trying to steal this cross. As he goes through this circus train, and then we get to the biggest set piece of this movie, which is the tank chase, technically, where Indiana Jones is fighting Vogel from the description on a tank, trying to save both Marcus and his father from being driven off a cliff or being shot by the Nazis, and it's actually pretty funny. I mean, we do have some very hilarious moments, like the joke that Marcus makes when Henry shoots one of the Nazis in the face with his pen, claiming the pen is mightier than the sword. There's also the little German that I don't really understand of the one soldier after Indiana Jones' face gets smashed into or smushed into the periscope, and it comes back and hits him in the ass, pretty much. I also really like the little callback to Raiders of the Lost Ark in the tombs or the catacombs of Italy when Indy and Elsa see a drawing of the Ark of the Covenant, and there's a little dialogue there where Elsa asks how he knows what it is, and Indy confirms, yeah, I've seen it. I mean, it's literally he doesn't say this, but we all know it's sitting in that museum being watched over by top men. That's the funny part. I also kind of like the contrast between Sean Connery and Harrison Ford. Like, they are such a really good pairing. I know I mentioned how much I liked Short Round in the previous movie, and I would have liked to see the one guy joining the cast instead of Willie. Here, this is perfect. This is perfect casting. We've got Sala back from Raiders of the Lost Ark, and most likely coming back for the next Indiana Jones movie. We also have Marcus Brody, who we briefly see during the beginning of Raiders. We also we get some fun dialogue between Henry Jones Sr. and Henry Jones Jr., aka Indiana Jones. Like, there are so many moments in this where we see how disappointed or disgusted Sr. is towards the way that Indiana Jones handles certain situations, like killing those Nazis after they've been caught up in the castle in Austria. When he drags his father off the boat and into a motorcycle, and the father's just like, really? You couldn't have let me know the plan? Like, I can see the contrast. These two are very stubborn men, and they're the perfect pairing, and God rest his soul, Sean Connery is an amazing actor. I love him in this, and I actually, while researching this movie, I actually learned some interesting facts, like River Phoenix, or Joaquin Phoenix's brother, who plays young Indiana Jones in this movie, actually died the exact same day as Sean Connery, just he died in 1993, where Sean Connery died 2020, and very close to the exact same time, like maybe a couple of minutes off, but it was after 1 o'clock in the morning. But yeah, that's some dark facts. I also kind of like the little dialogue that happens when Indy and Elsa get to the castle. Indy putting on this Scottish accent, which is kind of funny because Sean Connery is a well-known Scottish actor from Scotland. And it's funny seeing the person who's playing his son trying to put on the most over-the-top Scottish accent. And the butler that they meet is not having it, with the little comment of, if you're a Scottish lord, then I am Mickey Mouse. It's so fucking clever. Apparently, George Lucas and Spielberg had different idea for the dialogue, but they realized that this would have been more known other than the other ones, because the other characters they were thinking of labeling him as, or the other actors they were labeling him as, were a little too on the nose for kids to actually know who they're talking about. I also just really like the story. I do like the music in this a bit more than I like the music from Temple of Doom. Pretty much I've figured I'd categorize the movies in a certain way. While Raiders of the Lost Ark will always be number 1 for me, The Last Crusade will always be number 2, and Temple of Doom will always be number 3. Temple of Doom is horror-based, and it tried being dark, but also they did make a lot of mistakes. This is the 3rd movie, so they learned from those mistakes. While there are some scary moments, like the weird Holy Grail scene where Donovan ends up drinking the wrong cup, and for a minute there it kind of looks like he turns into Doc Brown before his eyes roll into the back of his head, and it's just that's freaky as hell. So while there were goofy moments like that one, they did try to be more serious, similar to what they did with Raiders of the Lost Ark. This definitely felt like a Raiders sequel instead of a goofy Temple of Doom sequel. There are those goofy moments like one of the funniest characters in this movie is Marcus Brody, and the line that the guy got lost in his own museum, which is pretty hilarious. And in the end of the movie, we also see him almost fall off his horse. We see how clueless he is during the tank battle, and we also see how clueless he is during the after he meets Sallah, and Salah's trying to tell him to run, and he's just like, what? What was that? And Sallah finally has to drag him off and inadvertently hands over to the Nazis, which is kind of funny. This is one of the best movies out of the three, to be honest. I actually am willing to put it at number one because it does learn from the problems of Raiders and Temple of Doom. So, yeah, this is going to be 10 out of 10. It's going to be the top of the list. I'm going to move Raiders down to at least a 9.5, and Temple of Doom about a 7. And let me just say, I do like a lot in this movie, which is why I'm changing the rankings. Sorry, Silva, I would have mentioned it to you in a text, but last minute thoughts. But yeah, I do really like this movie. I do feel it does a lot. They brought in a lot of great characters. They brought the one Nazi from Raiders of the Lost Ark. I believe his name is Tuto. He's the one that starts the fire at the bar. He actually plays Heinrich, one of the people standing next to Hitler in the movie. We also have Hitler in this, which is hilarious. Indiana Jones actually gets to meet him briefly, and he's played by the same guy that plays Admiral Ozzel, the very goofy Admiral from... Admiral Ozzel from Empire Strikes Back. He gets to play Hitler, and apparently this isn't his first time playing Hitler in this. And this movie is actually very accurate because they did have a lot of book burnings during the time of Nazi Germany. It was kind of an education thing, and it's kind of interesting to actually see this in this movie. We actually get to see Nazi Germany, we get to see Hitler, we get to see all these interesting things here, because we've only been to like Cairo and we've been to India. It was time we finally got to see the home of the Nazis, who we see Indiana Jones fight in the Raiders of the Lost Ark and in this movie. But yeah, I really like this movie. I really like the story. It's a very fascinating story. And again, I really like the companionship between Sean Connery and Harrison Ford as Henry Jones Jr. and Henry Jones Sr. And it's kind of sad that we'll never see that again. Like, Sean Connery does get a kind of a mention in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, but that's as far as we got before he ended up dying. But yeah, this is a brilliant movie, and yeah, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Click the little notification bell for more of our content, and have a great night, guys, and hats off to River Phoenix and Sean Connery, two of the greatest actors in this movie and in cinema, and to Sean Connery, one of the greatest Scots. as he was listed by the United Kingdom. Rest in peace to you both. Have a great night, guys.